So we started going from there and really feeling like we were falling in love with this, but there was no way at that point to get to something that was legal. So it was always risky. And then we moved and we bought a place, and then we had 4 lights set up. And at that time, it was 4 lights in a shop.
Yeah, we had 35 plants in flower.
35 plants in flower, and then we had a bad day.
And we got busted.
And we got busted hard.
The police took all my plants. And I took my 3 plants too. I was really upset about that. They destroyed my equipment.
And ironically, they put me on a private plane to Calgary. So
that's another story.
That's the same story.
But going on with this one, I had to go to court over this, and I decided it was solely wrong that I got busted with this cannabis I was growing for my health. So I hired John Conroy, and we took on the government, and we said, fuck it, we're fighting this, And actually, the funny thing is that I remember going to court that morning, and at the beginning, when they read out your address and all your stuff, that was funny. And then John Conroy goes up there and goes, "These charges are ridiculous, Your Honor. My client is growing cannabis at his house as we speak." And everybody just started laughing. And I'm like, oh no, they just read my address. That was going to be really bad. Nothing ever happened came of it. But at the end of this court case, we ended up getting an absolute discharge. We won. And the cool thing about that is we set a precedent that other people that were in the same predicament that were growing medicine for themselves were able to beat the charges. So this was great. Actually, it's still online on John Conroy's website. You can read all about that. So that was my first time going to court for cannabis, and we won.
We won, and then we
wouldn't be the last time we go to court for cannabis, though. That's the thing.
But during the time that we were taking to get to court, basically what happened was John said, "Hey, there's this the Parker case that if you could figure out a way to get legal, we might be able to deal with a lot of this stuff." So I wrote to our Prime Minister of Canada, Jean Chrétien, at the time, and who forwarded my letter to Alan Rock. And Alan Rock actually wrote me back. And he was the health minister, and he said, look, there's not too much I can do, but hey, this is starting to happen, so you need to doctor shop. Now, as a Canadian, that's really not what we're taught to do, is doctor shop.
Basically what he implied is if we find a doctor, don't worry about it, they'll take care of the rest.
So we started going and talking to doctors, and one of the first things I went to go find doctors, and they'd say, well, if you're on any kind of opioids or anything, we don't want you as a patient. So I knew right there we're going to have a problem with the weed thing. So finally, it took me probably 6 months to find a doctor.
Well, we went to countless doctors, and you know what it's like going, this is way back then, going into a doctor's office and trying to talk about medical marijuana, like, we might be asking for heroin or crack cocaine. They looked at you funny, and it's like, they looked at you like you're saying ridiculous stuff with medical marijuana. Like, there's no such thing.
So we finally found a doctor that it seemed good with it. He was actually the head of the UBC, with MS. And so he was, and at that time you had to have a specialist signed. So he was a specialist. And then I spent 6 months sending him all kinds of emails and trying to educate him on all because he's saying, oh, there's no studies. I'm like, yeah, there is. So I'd find all these studies and I'd send them to him, and apparently I might have been sending him some viruses too. But
Sandy bombarded him with information.
I did bombard him, and then finally on the last time we had an appointment, and he said, I swear, he was sitting there drinking a Tim Hortons cup of coffee. And he goes, you know it's addictive, right? And I said, well, it's no more addictive than that cup of coffee you're drinking. And he looked at me and he said, you're right. And he signed Remo's paper.
And that's how I got my first license.
But what ended up happening out of that is we realized what the need was, or how many people needed it for MS, for HIV, for cancer. And I was like, this is crazy. So we started looking at helping people, get their licenses. We never charged a fee for it or anything. But
we helped many, many patients, and we helped them we donate genetics to them.
Yeah.
Resources, we'd help them grow their cannabis.
We'd even find, like, some of them patients were so sick they needed help transplanting, or they need help watering, or that kind of stuff. So that's what we were involved with.
The funny thing is I'm still doing that today. We still have a handful of patients in Vancouver that we help. Because I find that growing cannabis, especially if you're really sick, is very therapeutic. If you're got a really bad disease, maybe taking care of some plants, get your mind off of it.